What happens when the owner of a doggy daycare chain goes undercover and sees an employee comforting a trembling puppy better than most people comfort other humans? Harvey Olson parked his beat-up Honda Civic in the farthest corner of the gravel lot, just outside one of his 12 doggy daycare locations. This one sat on the edge of a sleepy suburb outside Kansas City. The windshield had a crack running across it, the bumper was zip-tied on, and the fake name stitched into his shirt read Craig. It was a disguise he'd never worn before: cheap work boots, a slightly stained polo, and wire-rimmed glasses. He looked like someone who answered Craigslist ads. And that was the point. He owned all 12 locations outright. Bought the company from a retiring couple 7 years ago when it only had 3 stores. Back then, he'd been hands-on cleaning kennels, walking dogs, even sleeping in the back office during storms to make sure the pups didn't freak out. But as they grew, he stepped back. A layer of managers was added. District supervisors came next. He focused on expansion, systems, software. Until 2 weeks ago, a customer email landed in his inbox by mistake. It was meant for a local manager, but someone had typed the address wrong. I loved bringing my dog here until recently. The staff seems overworked and cold. My lab cried for 10 minutes after we left. Harvey read it twice. Then again. Overworked and cold. That wasn't how he built this place. He didn't want to micromanage his people, but something in his gut said it was time to go see for himself. This location, Store 9, had never met him in person. He'd onboarded the manager, Chad, through Zoom during the pandemic. The employees only knew corporate as a phone number and a logo. Nobody would recognize him. He stepped through the door at 6:52 a.m. before the rush. The smell hit first clean but lived in. A mix of dog shampoo and peanut butter treats. Front desk was empty. A bell jingled above the door, but nobody came. He waited 30 seconds. Then a minute. Finally, a tall guy with a half-zipped hoodie and earbuds dangling from his collar walked out from the back, chewing gum. "You the new guy?" he asked, not looking up from the clipboard in his hand.
Yeah.
Craig.
Cool.
Grab a mop. Floor's gross.
No welcome. No intro.
Just mop. Harvey nodded and headed to the supply closet. He wasn't surprised. He'd worked jobs like this before: low pay, high turnover. But it still stung. If this was the first impression for new hires, what did it say about their culture? By 8:30, the place was alive. Dogs barked over each other in 3 different rooms. Owners dropped off pups with quick hugs and rushed goodbyes. Harvey stayed mostly in the background, filling water bowls, wiping down crates, scooping messes. That's when he spotted her. A red-haired woman in her early 30s, kneeling on the rubber floor beside a small tan puppy. The pup trembled, tail tucked, eyes wide. The woman didn't rush it. She just sat there, legs crossed, gently scratching behind the puppy's ears and whispering things too soft to hear. Harvey smiled. Not the polite kind. The real kind. The kind that sneaks up on you when you see something good and honest. The woman looked up and caught his eye. She smiled back, then turned her attention to the pup again. He checked her name tag. Lena Cardenas. "Hey, Lena," he said, walking over. "What's wrong with the little guy?" "He's new. First time away from his owner. Shakes like a leaf." She gently held the puppy's paw. "I don't like rushing them. They need a minute sometimes." "Does management give you trouble for that?" She tilted her head. "Kinda. Chad wants us to hit numbers, how many dogs we get through intake per hour. But I'd rather have this one settle in right than bark for 3 hours straight." Harvey nodded. "Makes sense." She gave him a curious look. "You're Craig, right? From the other location?"
Yeah.
"Just helping out while they hire." "Well, welcome to Store 9. It's a bit chaotic." He grinned. "I noticed." Over the next few hours, Harvey kept his head down and observed. Lena was a standout: calm, patient, firm when needed. She remembered every dog's name. Even asked owners how their weekend went. Others were different. One guy named Bryce threw a broom when a dog peed on the floor. Another, a woman named Dana, spent more time on her phone than with the dogs. And Chad, the manager, barely came out of the office. When he did, it was only to bark orders or complain about staff being too soft. Around noon, Lena skipped her break to sit with a nervous bulldog who refused to eat. She sat on the floor beside him, spoon-feeding him bits of rice from a paper bowl. Harvey watched from the hallway, arms crossed. He wasn't just impressed, he was ashamed. This was the kind of employee you built around. And she was getting pressure to be faster? Later in the break room, he found her eating a granola bar alone. "Lena," he said, grabbing a water from the fridge. "How long you been here?" 2.5 years.
No promotion.
She laughed. "Not even a raise. Chad says we're maxed out on budget." He nodded slowly. "You ever want to manage a place like this?" She hesitated.
Yeah.
"But I don't think I'm the right type for it." "What do you mean?" "I'm not.
Corporate.
I care too much about the dogs. Some days I get in trouble for that." Harvey didn't say anything, but his jaw tightened. That evening he helped close. Cleaned up poop. Bagged trash. Said goodbye to the pups. As he left, he passed Lena again. She was kneeling beside the same tin puppy, now wagging its tail and licking her cheek. Harvey paused, watched for a beat, and smiled. Then he walked out the door, heart heavy, mind spinning. He'd seen what he needed to see. Tomorrow, things were going to change. The next morning, Harvey arrived before the sun. He leaned against the rear bumper of his car with a thermos in hand, watching the parking lot slowly fill. The air was damp, and the hum of insects rose with the light. He hadn't slept much. Too many details from the day before ran laps through his mind: Lena's quiet steadiness, the manager's absence, the way some employees treated the dogs like chores instead of creatures. By 6:45, the side door creaked open. A mop bucket rolled out first, followed by Bryce, the employee who'd flung the broom yesterday. He didn't notice Harvey and muttered something under his breath as he yanked open the dumpster lid. Harvey waited until the man went back inside before heading in himself. The lobby was still dark. He flicked on the lights, revealing a streak of dried mud across the floor from someone dragging in a kennel yesterday. He found the cleaning supplies without asking. By the time the others started arriving, he'd already swept the lobby, wiped down the front desk, and stocked the treat bins. No one said much at first. Dana walked past without acknowledging him, earbuds in again. Another employee, a younger guy with a shaved head and red uniform shirt 3 sizes too big, nodded once and ducked into the back. Only Lena greeted him. "You're early," she said, setting her bag down behind the counter. "Didn't want to miss anything." She gave him a sideways glance. "Most people want to miss this part." "Guess I'm not most people." The morning drop-off rush began just after 7. Harvey stayed in the intake area, logging new arrivals into the system. The software was clunky, something he'd approved years ago, and it took 3 separate screens to assign a dog to a playgroup. As he fumbled through a form, a woman in a long puffer coat tapped the counter. "Excuse me, is Lena here?" He started to answer, but Lena had already appeared from the hallway. "Hey, Mrs. Hollins," she said, taking the leash from the woman. "How's Scout doing?" "Much better, since we started bringing him here. He doesn't chew the curtains anymore." "Glad to hear it." Harvey watched the exchange quietly. The woman clearly trusted her. It wasn't just routine politeness, there was warmth in it. After Scout trotted off, tail wagging, Harvey turned to Lena. "You get that a lot?" "What?" "Customers asking for you by name." She shrugged.
Some.
"I've been here longer than most of the staff. People remember." He opened his mouth to say something else, but was interrupted by a sharp voice from the hallway. "Lena, you get those reports done yet?"
Chad.
He emerged from the office wearing a quarter zip with the company logo and a Bluetooth earpiece that blinked blue every few seconds. He glanced at Harvey without recognition, then turned back to Lena. I asked for those half an hour ago. I was helping with intake. There are 5 other people on shift. You're not the only one who can take a leash. Without waiting for a response, he turned and walked back into the office. Harvey watched Lena's face. She didn't flinch, but her jaw set for a second. You ever think about leaving? He asked quietly. Only on the days that end in Y. She walked off before he could respond. The rest of the morning moved in fits and starts. One of the dogs, a wiry terrier with boundless energy, escaped from a side gate and bolted across the play yard. 2 staff members chased him down, slipping in the wet grass. Harvey helped secure the latch afterward. It didn't lock properly. The mechanism had worn down, and someone had tied a piece of twine around it as a temporary fix. Has anyone told Chad about this? He asked the red shirt guy. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Said maintenance would handle it. Harvey examined the latch more closely. One screw was stripped. The other was missing entirely. That afternoon, he stayed in the back kennels. The air was thick there, less circulation than the front. He noticed a whiteboard with feeding schedules. Several of the entries had been wiped clean but not rewritten. One dog had a note, no chicken allergy. But there was an empty chicken-flavored chew wrapper in the trash nearby. He found Dana in the break room, scrolling through her phone. Hey, he said. Do you know who's on feeding for the back kennels today? She didn't look up. Should be Bryce. Why? There's a note on one of the dogs about a chicken allergy. Just want to make sure it wasn't missed. She gave a shallow shrug. I don't do feeding. He waited, but she didn't add anything. By 5, the staff had thinned out. Some went home early, others clocked out and lingered in the break room. Chad emerged only once more, this time to berate someone for not logging a payment correctly. Harvey watched Lena handle it calmly, stepping in to correct the error without pointing fingers. She didn't defend the mistake. She just fixed it. After close, Harvey stayed behind to mop the back hall. Lena passed by again, this time with her hoodie slung over her shoulder. You don't have to do that, she said. I don't mind. She hesitated. Why are you really here? She asked. He looked at her. She held his gaze. You ask questions like you're not just passing through. He leaned on the mop and exhaled slowly. I wanted to understand what it's like to work here. She studied his face. You don't talk like someone who just got hired. He didn't answer. After a beat, she nodded once and walked off. That night, Harvey sat in his car under the yellow glow of a parking lot bulb, writing notes in a small leather notebook. He listed names: Lena, with 3 stars beside hers, Bryce with a question mark, Dana with a downward arrow, a section for maintenance issues, a list of software fixes, a margin note. Check training procedures, are they even current? Before leaving, he walked the perimeter of the fence one more time. The same gate latch still hung loosely. As he turned to go, he noticed something under the edge of the shed, a torn corner of a dog bed, soaked from the morning's dew. Someone had shoved it there instead of tossing it out. He didn't sleep that night either. Tomorrow was going to be different, not because of a speech, not because of a memo, because he was done watching. Harvey stood in the front lobby of Store 9, his real clothes on for the first time in 3 days. Charcoal dress shirt, dark jeans, and the same worn leather boots he wore when he opened his first location. His Civic was still parked out back, but today he walked through the front door. The timing was intentional. He waited until just after the morning rush. By then, the employees would be settled into routines, not expecting anything unusual. He stepped through the door at 8:17 a.m., letting it close behind him with a soft click. Bryce was leaning on the counter, arms crossed, talking to Dana, who was half scrolling on her phone. They both looked up. You here for a tour or something? Bryce asked, eyes narrowing slightly. Harvey didn't answer. He scanned the room, then walked past them without a word. Bryce straightened off the counter, clearly thrown off. Dana, stood a little taller. Lena appeared from the hallway, holding a clipboard and a leash. She froze when she saw him. Her eyes darted briefly to his shoes, then back to his face. He gave a small nod. She exhaled softly, but said nothing. Chad's voice came from behind the office door. It was cracked open, and he was on a call. Words like margins and labor targets floated out, muffled but recognizable. Harvey walked straight in. Chad turned in his chair, confused for half a beat. Then recognition hit. Wait, Harvey? I didn't know you were coming today. You didn't. Chad stood up quickly. If you'd told me, I'd have sat in this office a little straighter. Chad opened his mouth but didn't answer. I've been here for 3 days, Harvey said. Worked every shift. Cleaned every mess. Used your feeding logs. Walked your yard. Chad's face paled. He glanced down at the headset on his desk, then back at Harvey. You went undercover? I wanted to see what leadership felt like from the bottom. Chad swallowed hard. Look, if there were issues, I wish you'd told me directly. We've been trying to manage the place with limited hours and you've had what you needed. Harvey cut in. This isn't about resources. It's about attitude. I saw you bark at Lena in front of a customer for not prioritizing paperwork over a dog having a panic response. You ignored a faulty gate latch that's been reported more than once. You've let staff like Dana stay glued to their phones while someone like Lena skips breaks to hand feed a bulldog who won't eat. Chad took a step back. Lena's a good worker, yeah, but sometimes she slows the line down. We're trying to hit throughput targets. She's the only one in that building acting like the company still stands for something, Harvey said, voice low. You're so focused on speed, you've forgotten the animals aren't products. Chad's mouth opened, then closed again. You're done here, Harvey said. Effective immediately. Chad's face twitched. You're firing me? You're not a leader. You're a bottleneck. He stepped aside and motioned to the door. Chad didn't move at first. Then, without a word, he grabbed his headset off the desk, shoved it into his backpack, and walked out past the front desk. Bryce and Dana watched him go, unsure if they should say something. Neither did. Harvey stepped out a moment later. Staff meeting, he said.
Now.
They gathered in the playroom, dogs already napping on mats or chewing toys in the corner. Harvey stood near the whiteboard. No podium, no clipboard. I'm Harvey Olson, he said. I own this company.
Some of you know me.
Most of you don't. A few eyes widened.
Dana blinked.
Bryce shifted uncomfortably. I've been here the past 3 days. You didn't know because I didn't want you to. I needed to see what this place looked like without filters. He paused. This store used to have one of our highest customer ratings. Now it's dropped below the company average. Too many complaints about stressed dogs, rush service, and cold staff. I wanted to know why. He turned to Lena. This is the only person here who treated every dog like it mattered, who looked customers in the eye, who actually read the notes left by owners. Lena didn't speak. Her hands were clasped in front of her, eyes steady. I'm not here to hand out lectures. I'm here to fix this. He looked back at the group. Effective today, I'm placing Lena in charge of day-to-day operations. She'll be interim manager while we rebuild this location's culture. Dana's eyebrows shot up. Bryce glanced at her, then looked away. We're not firing everyone, Harvey said. But things will change. Phones stay in lockers during shift hours. Feeding logs get double-checked. If a dog has an allergy, there's no excuse for missing it. If a latch is broken, it gets fixed that day. If someone doesn't want to work like that, they can clock out now. No one moved. Harvey continued. I'll be here the rest of the week. We'll hire 2 more part-timers to help with the load. You'll get training refreshers not just on systems, but on animal behavior. Every employee will get a one-on-one review by end of month, and we're setting up an anonymous reporting line that goes directly to my office. He stepped back. You all decide what kind of place this becomes. But if I see another dog treated like a number, I'll be back. And next time, I won't wait 3 days to make changes." He walked out of the room. Later that day, he found Lena in the back hallway, updating the board with new feeding schedules. Her handwriting was small but precise. He stopped beside her. "You okay with this?" he asked. She nodded once, still writing. "You're not going to get much help from Bryce or Dana, at least not at first." "I don't expect them to like me," she said. "I just want the dogs to be okay." "They will be," he said. "And so will you." She finally turned to him. "What made you come here?" "Out of all the stores." "I got an email from a customer," he said. Said her dog cried after leaving. Lena's face softened. She wasn't wrong. "No," Harvey said. "She wasn't." He turned to go, then paused. "Oh, and the dog with the chicken allergy? I called the owner. Turns out he had a reaction last week." Lena's face darkened. "I'll make sure it doesn't happen again." "I know," Harvey said. That night, as the last dog left and the lights dimmed in the playroom, Harvey pulled the gate shut at the side yard. He reached into his back pocket, pulled out a small packet of screws, and tightened the latch himself. It clicked shut with a clean snap. Then he walked to his car, the air cool against his face, and drove off without looking back. The following Monday, the changes began to show slowly, and not without friction. Harvey kept his presence low-key after the reveal, working from a corner desk near the back of the store with a laptop open and a legal pad beside it. He wasn't there to hover. He was there to follow through. He watched how the new procedures played out in real time. He listened more than he spoke. The 2 new part-timers didn't start until Wednesday, so for now, the existing team had to stretch. Lena took the lead without fanfare. She didn't try to win anyone over. She just got to work. "Bryce, I'm putting you on cleaning and intake rotation. You'll alternate with Jesse every other day," she said during their morning meeting. "Dana, I need you on feeding and logging. If you miss a note, let me know within 10 minutes. No exceptions."
Dana blinked.
"I've never done logs." "You're about to learn." There was no pushback. No open protest. But the tension was visible, especially from Bryce, who showed up late 2 days in a row and mumbled instructions under his breath. Lena didn't confront him in front of others. She waited until the end of his shift and asked him to stay 5 minutes. "Do you want to stay here?" she asked, standing by the back door with her arms crossed. He shrugged, not meeting her eyes. "I'm not asking to corner you. I just need to know where you stand." "I'm not trying to get fired," he muttered. "That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking if you want to be part of where this place is going. Because if you do, I'll work with you. If not, I'll stop trying." He looked at her for the first time. "I didn't think you were serious about this." "I am." He nodded once, then picked up his backpack and left. The next day, he showed up 5 minutes early. Dana took longer. She followed instructions, but her energy stayed distant. She moved through tasks like someone waiting out a storm. When Harvey passed her in the break room, she didn't look up from her sandwich. "You're good with the feeding schedule," he said, not stopping. She glanced up. "I'm just copying what's on the board." "You're cross-checking too." "That never happened before." She stared at him, then looked away. "I didn't think anyone noticed." "I do." On Thursday, she brought in a notebook with her own color-coded notes. She didn't tell anyone. But Harvey saw it when she thought no one was watching. Lena continued to lead from the floor. She didn't spend time in the office unless she had to. She was in the yard during group play, redirecting a hyper shepherd before it barreled into a smaller spaniel. She was at the front desk when a new client arrived with a gray-faced pug who wheezed with every step. "He's got a collapsed trachea," the woman explained, eyes worried. "Can you handle that?" "We've got you," Lena said, crouching to greet the dog. "He'll be watched closely." After the woman left, she assigned the pug to the quiet room, placed a note on the kennel, then followed up with a call to the vet listed on the intake form to confirm medication timing. Harvey saw it all. He didn't interrupt. By Friday, the atmosphere had shifted. Not dramatically, but the noise in the hallway felt less frantic. The barking was still there, but the staff moved with more coordination. The feeding logs were full. The broken latch had been replaced, not patched. The mop bucket was no longer left sitting full in the hallway. Harvey called a team meeting that afternoon, once the last dog had been picked up. They gathered in the playroom again. No one leaned on walls this time. Everyone stood facing him. "I said I'd be here a week," he began. "Today's my last day on site." He looked around. Bryce stood near the back, arms folded but attentive. Dana held her phone, but the screen was off. "I came in thinking I'd have to replace half this team. I don't feel that way anymore." No one shifted. They waited. "You've each made choices this week," he continued. "Some of them quiet. Some of them visible. But I saw them. The owners felt them. I got 3 emails in the last 2 days from regulars saying it feels different here." He looked at Lena. "That's because someone set the tone, and the rest of you rose to meet it." Lena didn't react. She simply nodded once. "I'm making her manager permanent," Harvey said. "She'll have a regional mentor to support her, but day to day, this is her ship." Dana spoke for the first time. "What about raises?" Harvey met her gaze. "They're not off the table, but we don't hand them out just because someone sticks around. Performance reviews start next week. I'll be reviewing them myself. We're rebuilding trust here. That takes time." There were no cheers. No applause. Just a quiet, collective nodding. That was enough. After they dispersed, Harvey stayed behind to help clean up. He and Lena wiped down the mats in companionable silence. "You didn't have to stay this long," she said eventually. "I didn't want to leave it half-finished." She looked down at the rag in her hands. "You think this'll stick?" "Depends on you," he said. "I've seen companies change. But only when the person at the center refuses to budge." She looked up at him, expression steady. "Then it'll stick." He nodded once and stood. As he walked toward the front, Bryce intercepted him by the door. "I was out of line," he said. "Before." "I know. I'll do better." "Then do it." Harvey stepped outside. The air smelled like damp grass and disinfectant. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the parking lot. He reached his car, unlocked it, and paused with one hand on the door. From the other side of the lot, a woman walked toward the entrance with a black lab on a leash. Harvey recognized her instantly. The one who'd written the email. He didn't stop her. He didn't say anything. He got into the car and drove off. Inside, Lena opened the door with a smile and knelt down to greet the dog. The lab didn't cry this time,